Hi everyone, in this video we're going to talk about how to solve a basic word problem in Java. So the question we're going to look at now is, write an application that asks the user to enter two integers, obtains them from the user, and prints the square of each, the sum of their squares, and the difference of the squares. First number squared minus second number squared. So before you begin this application, we are going to type in public static void main. So the purpose of this is that without typing in this, your application will not execute, especially with this main. If you are building an application and you don't put in this main, your application will not execute. At least for this class, your application will not execute. And this public here is an access modifier. There are different kinds of access modifiers. We have public access modifier, we have private access modifier, and we also have protected access modifier. This void here is a return type and it doesn't return anything. For example, now let's say I do something for you, I did something for you, and I don't expect anything in return. Like, I just did it for you. So that's how this void is. This void is a return type. It just does it and expects nothing in return. So this string here is a reference type. This args is also required in building an application. So the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to type in our scanner input equals to new scanner. System.in alt enter. Yeah, so now this scanner input equals to new scanner in brackets system.in. This is an object creation, and the object we are creating here is input, right? We are creating the object input. So this scanner here is like a parent. It's a class, and before you start your class, you need to start your class with a capital letter. That's why it's like a parent. It's a class. So like now, before I put this PSVM, I had to put arithmetic practice. Arithmetic here is a class. Arithmetic practice here is a class. I created the class arithmetic practice. So this is scanner here is also a class. So I have to put in capital letter. If I put in small letter now, it's going to show me red, right? It's going to show me red. So it's a class, so you have to put in the capital letter. So this is an object create. So we're creating the object input. So that's why input is like the baby. Input is a baby. It has small I. It is dependent. It is a child. So this scanner here is a parent. So equals new scanner system.in. This s in system is also a class. If I put the ordinary s, it's going to show me red. So it is also a class. It's very, very important that you put in that. So the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to prompt the user to enter two integers, and the only way we can prompt the user to enter two integers is system.out.print. System.out.print. So system.out.print. So we'll just enable the user to enter integer 1 first, because we want the user to enter the first integer. So enter integer 1. Yeah, so this system.out is known as a standard output object. So it displays information, it prints out the information, it displays information, it prints out the information. There are different kinds of prints. There is print ln, there is print f, there is ordinary print. But for this particular line, we are going to use ordinary print for this. When we come down, as I'm coding, you will see print f very soon. So the next thing we are going to do now is that we are going to put in int number 1 equals to next input. Yeah, so this number 1 now is like a variable, right? It's like a variable. I can put in anything. I can say figure 1, right? I can say figure 1. I can put in anything. It's not really necessary I must put in number 1. I can put num1. It's not mandatory to put in number 1. I can put in num1. I can put in so this scanner input, right? This scanner is a class in Java used to obtaining the input of data types. So this scanner input is obtaining the input of data types like int, right? Int. So that's why we have int number1 input.next int. So this int here, this I here has to be capital letter. This I has capital letter. So we will now do for the second integer. So we want the user to enter the second integer. So system.out.print. So enable now the user to enter the second integer. Enter integer 2. Integer 2. Then int num2 equals to input. Yeah. So before I even continue, in programming, not even just in Java, in programming, most of your statements will end in semicolon. You know, in English language, most statements end with a full stop, but in programming, most of the statements will end with a semicolon. So that's why I put in semicolon to end my statements. So, and this in Java is called a statement. This system.out.print, then you can see this string. Strings are usually in quotes. In my subsequent videos, I will talk about data types. Strings are in quotes. So this system.out.print, then with this brackets, with the string, then semicolon, it is called a statement. So it's like we are printing out the statement, we are displaying the information, we are printing out the statement, we are showing out the statement, you know. So the next thing now we are going to do is that they now told us that apart from obtaining the information from the user, letting the user input the first integer and second integer, then we are now going to print the square of each. Print the square of each. So we are going to, before we print the square of each, we have to know the square of the number, right? We have to know the square of the number. So we have to know the square of number 1. So I can name it square 1. Square 1 equals to you can see that it's giving me red because this is not what it wants. This is what it actually wants. So I put in the wrong variable. So this is the right variable. So that's for num1. Yeah. So that's the right variable. So we'll now do for this second square. For square 2. So num2 times num2. So and the question now told us, see, we print the square of each. Print the square of each. So now type in system.out.print f, the square of integer 1 is %d. Let me so I can see %d, %n, then comma square 1. Yep. So this is also a statement. This is also a statement. But this kind of statement now, this one is printf. So printf is format specifiers. So this d, this percentage d you are seeing here, they are format specifiers. This percentage n here is a format specifier, and another name for format specifiers are conversion characters, right? Conversion characters. So we are converting a data type into this percentage and the letter that you are seeing here, percentage d, percentage n. So if you now ask me what character are we converting, we are converting the data type int. And when you convert the data type int, it converts from int to percentage d, and this percentage n is like next line. So but for this percentage d was being converted to the original form is int. So from int it moves to percentage d. Let me write it somewhere. So int is converted to percentage d. So in my subsequent videos I will explain data types, I will explain printf, so that you would see how these characters are being converted to this. So int is converted to percentage d, right? So the square of integer 1 is percentage d. So percentage d is like the number, right? It's like the number. So the square of integer 1 is a figure. It's like me saying the square of 2 is 4. So that 4 is a number. So that's why we wrote percentage d. So the square of integer 1 is number, percentage n, then you close the quotation, then comma, and you put in, because we are looking for square 1, we want to know the square of the first number. So we name this variable square 1. You can name the variable anything, actually. You can name it anything, but me, I'm naming it square 1. So we now want to know the square of we want to print out the square of the second integer. So system dot out dot print f. So it's the same method. There's nothing big. The square of the second integer, percentage d, percentage n, then square 2. Yeah, so that's about that. So now we're not done with the question, no. So the question that they now told us, let me zoom in the question. They now told us, and the sum of their squares, So this is what we're going to do now. So the sum of square 1. So we're going to find that one out. So int sum is equal to number 1 num1 times num1 plus num2 times num2. Yeah, so we want to know the sum of their squares. So we want to know by the time we've times number 1, we've times num1. So that's like saying the square of two of them, the sum of the square of the two of them. So it's like saying the sum of the square of 2 plus the square of 4. So we want to know. So the question is saying, this is what the question is saying. The question is saying print the square of each. I'm sorry. Print the sum of their squares. So as we have gotten the square of 1, we have gotten the square of 2. So we add both of them together. Since we've gotten the square of each of them, right? Let's go back to the question so we understand this thing better. Since we've gotten the square of each of them, because they told us obtains them from the user, prints the square of each, which we have done already. Then is now saying and sum of their squares. So we need to sum them up. So you can do it this way. Or if this is not too long, you can also do it this way, because that one looks like long method. Square 1 plus square 2. Yeah, you can also do it this way. So we're now going to so the question now said, what does the question say? So it's telling us that we should print the sum of their squares. So we're going to print it now. So what are we going to do? System dot out dot print f the sum of their squares is percentage d percentage n sum. So this, like before I even go, this square 1 here is like an argument. This square 2 is also an argument. So it's necessary that when we put in this our local variable, we put this argument in here. Put the argument in here. So this sum here is also an argument, right? It's also an argument. So we're now saying the sum of their squares is percentage d, which is the number. So it's like saying the sum of their squares is 4, or the sum of their squares is 6, and 6 is, it has been converted to percentage d. That's an integer, int percentage d, right? Then this one is next line, then comma sum. So that's not all though. So the question is now saying that, and the difference of the squares, so the first number squared minus the second number squared. So it's saying the difference of the squares as well. So we'll now do for difference is equal to square 1 minus square 2 minus square 2. So we're now going to print it out. System dot out dot print f the difference of their square is percentage d percentage n difference. This is wrong. I didn't spell difference correctly. Difference. Oh, this is also wrong. Difference. DFF. Yes, it does. Difference. Yeah. So that is it, guys. So that's how to. So you now put int difference square 1 minus square 2, the difference of their squares. Then you put in the difference of their square is the number, then percentage n, next line, then comma difference, the arguments in the local variable. These are local variables. This is a local variable. This is a local variable as well. So this. So we're going to now run our code. So we'll run it now. So our code has finished compiling. So we'll now enter the integer 1, the first integer. Remember that the question already told us that write an application that asks the user to enter 2 integers. So me, I'm the user of my app now. I'm the user of this basic app. So I'm going to type in the integer I want, any integer I want. I can type in 90. Second integer, as I'm the user, I can type in maybe 50. So it does the square of the integer for me, which is 8100. It does the square of the second integer for me, which is 2500. It sums their squares, which is 10600. and the difference of their score is 5600. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you've not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel so you do not miss any of my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.